It is time for another live game, and what I got for you today is a Zerg vs Zerg that I am playing at the exact same time as I'm also giving commentary to it, and apparently my opponent is going to be a Linux user. Now, I'm not actually sure if StarCraft 2 even runs on Linux. I'm sure that someone in the comment section can let me know down below. I've tried several distributions in the past, but I keep coming back to Windows just because, well, the software that I use on a daily basis is only available there. Anyway, enough talking about operating systems. Let's jump into the video game instead. So, this is going to be a Zerg vs Zerg. Now, ZVZ is a pretty cheesy matchup. I've been trying to not, cheese nearly as much lately as I can because, for the most part, I've noticed that my macro game is not as terrible as it used to be. Actually, as it is right now, my Zerg vs Zerg is my strongest matchup, and I think I've got about, in Master 1, right, I've got about 65% win rate or so in this matchup as of right now. Now, if you are worried of getting cheese as well, and you are worried of, getting a lot of cheese, and you're a little scared to go hatch gas pool, simply going for a 16 hatch into a 16 gas into a 16 spawning pool, which is a little bit sooner and a little bit safer than the more standard 17, 18, 17. You actually can counter a lot of the early game pressure if your opponent is deciding to cheese you. So we'll see exactly what my opponent has got in store for me here. Of course, I am going to have to make sure that I continue making the drones as well. I'm going to drone up to 19 here, and then we'll make an overlord here as well. But all things considered, if you, are looking for a bit more of a safer early game variant of hatch gas pool, going 16, 16, 16 is most definitely viable. Now, I have been seeing a lot of cheese. It is currently the beginning of a season, so that does mean that generally speaking, people will be cheesing just to try and climb the ladder a little bit rapidly. I think the Grandmaster dream is alive for many of the players that I'm facing here, so they're trying to simply climb the ladder ASAP. And I'm also, now that we are at 100 gas, gonna pull 2 drones out of gas, start up a queen, start up a set of Zerglings, and very shortly I'll start up my queen in the natural as well. Now, notice I did pull the 2 drones out of gas. This is kind of a new school thing in Zerg vs Zerg, where you try and basically get your third base faster. Because if you're not getting cheesed, then your opponent is not cheesing you, right? It oftentimes means that they're gonna go hatchery first, and what's better than 1 hatchery? 2 hatcheries. So people have basically been trying to just squeeze out as many workers as they can, and then also to the third base ASAP. So I'll get that after I spend all of my larvae, and I can't, comfortably spend my resources anymore. Which is right about right now. Okay. Inject on the first queen done. Waiting right now for this drone to arrive at the third. I don't want to lose any of my overlords here for obvious reasons, so we do see that there is indeed a hatch first for my opponent as well. Third base is up. Gonna get a Banelings nest now as well. And we'll put drones back into the gas geyser. Let's have a quick peek around my opponent's main base. A quick little peek. See if there's any Evo chambers. He's only mining with 2 drones, it looks like, out of that gas geyser, if I saw that correctly. Not really a huge tell. So there's a spine and a Banelings nest going down. This actually looks a lot like a build that, what's his name? I think it was Lucera that was playing this build over and over and over again. Although I may be mistaken. One of the Korean professional Zerg players was playing something along those lines. Quite nicely. So I'm creating a lot of links right now. I think I'm gonna have to. Considering my opponent is actually playing rather aggressive here without a third base. Kind of weird, considering he did get the, spine. I wouldn't have assumed here that my opponent would be playing this, aggressive. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm starting to squeeze out a lot of workers as well. Because if you're planning on, making a spine crawler, that generally speaking is a massive indication that you're planning on also playing a macro-focused style, right? Usually players will not be going all too aggressive if that turns out to be the case. Try and get a detonation. Whew! Close one. Okay. Still squeezing out workers. Trying to do as much damage as I can. But I think I'm going to be forced to back up. Trying to snap that overlord of my opponent. Whew. I'm still trying to make sure that my opponent doesn't, catch a random bunch of my units, but I'm also trying to make sure that I catch as many of his units with my Banelings as I can. There we go. That's what we were hoping for. Very good. Alright, this allows me to transition. This doesn't just allow me to go ahead and, potentially go for a counterattack, which is all fine and dandy. But more importantly, it allows me to transition, which is very nice. Okay. So my opponent apparently is not quite done with the aggression just yet. That's fair enough. Very good. So this is one of those things, right? This is one of those matchups and one of these strategies that does require a solid amount of skill, I suppose, to try and pull off. Did lose a queen just now, but that's not too big of a deal. Ooh, ooh, ooh. A little sloppy there by me, but not all too terrible. Trying to run around here with Zerglings everywhere. Doesn't seem like it's really achieving a whole lot, though. Okay. Lair sounds like it's done. I'm gonna leave units in every base. Starting up the Roach speed ASAP. And we're really just trying to build up, you know, a little bit of economy. So I can set up for a nice timing attack here. I can go for a nice, you know, push here very shortly. I'm just trying to make sure that my opponent can't easily break me. Right? As long as I trade like that, life is going to be pretty solid for me. Still trying to squeeze out workers here and there as well. Oop, there we go. My opponent committing a huge amount here to try and do some damage. While he is doing, you know, a reasonable job at it. I don't think that that was worth it, all things considered, from him. This requires a bunch of practice, right? If you want to try and pull this off in your own games as well, it is going to require a whole lot of practice to just simply comfortably try and pull this off. But at this point, we are at a really nice lead. I'm going to not only be capable of getting a fort base here, but I can do a really nice push. So I'm actually going to go ahead and transition towards the gold, which is, of course, one of the bases on this map. That's very easily accessible. Once again, trying to get those connections. If my opponent keeps giving those to me, I am a very happy Zerg player. Okay, +1 attack is just about to finish up. That makes my Roaches 2-shot his Zerglings rather than 3-shot him, which is a huge deal. Plus Roach speed is now done. We're gonna do a bit of a run by here. I'm a little worried for any kind of potential muta play, so I'm actually gonna put down my own Spire as well, just in case that is going to be something that my opponent is planning on doing. And we'll run Zerglings right now into my opponent's base. Okay. Going in. Solid defense so far by him. Also going +2 right now. And my opponent looks like he's going for a counter-attack. So we'll try and push into his base here instead. Okay. Trying to micro several angles here at once, which is a little bit tricky. But looks like we're doing a decent job at that. Gold base is done. Spire is just about to finish up as well, I believe. Yeah, there we go. Which is very nice. And the setup that we've got right here is looking really solid. Okay. So I've got Roaches right here on one control group. We're starting up Mutas right now as well. Now the Mutas are an interesting switch. They make this really tricky for my opponent to judge. Because he can't say how long I'm going to commit on Mutalisks, right? He cannot say how many workers I'm going to try. Or how many, you know, minerals and gas and whatnot I'm going to commit to this. So he's going to have to counter with either Infestor. He's going to have to counter with a wide variety of units here if he wants to comfortably do it. And considering we can already take on his ground army as it is, I'm gonna run these units straight across. I'm gonna run these units straight towards his base. Okay, so this is actually a little annoying right now, because my opponent is currently running by with Zerglings. I did not expect that move. This is gonna hurt. Yeah, this is gonna hurt. But we are killing an entire base here. And my opponent seems like he's going for a counter-attack right now. Now that was a big amount of damage right there. Much more than I anticipated he would be able to do. Okay, counter-attack here from my opponent. As long as we hold on here, +2 is just about to finish up. We're going to be in a really solid position. He's essentially on 2 bases right now. Keep in mind, we still have that gold as well that's currently mining, which is a big deal. And while this push is not ideal, and I'm sort of like forcing my way up this ramp, I still have a huge amount of eco. And my opponent indeed is going to be forced to GG out. What a fun little match here. What a fun little game. So, Zerg vs Zerg, right? While we did have that shenanigans with the Zerglings and Banelings going on there for a while, primarily it is all about the player that has gotten more workers. So if you compare the income tab right here, right? And I'm just gonna like speed through this game. I think that at some point I secure a nice little lead when it comes to the Harvester count. So in this little overview, I'm going to be the one in the blue colors. So early game, it's all about the Zergling Baneling traits, right? And I do think that I came out ahead right there. Basically, what was going on while we were microing back and forth, I keep squeezing out a couple of drones every now and then, and already we're at 35 to 30 Harvesters. That's a big deal. That adds up very quickly. Basically, for every minute that currently goes by, I get about a quarter more income than my opponent, which is a big deal. Plus, on top of that, we get the positive traits right there. That just basically means that the longer that this game goes, even though we didn't deal any economic damage to my opponent, the longer that the game goes, the more ahead we will become. Now, of course, he's also squeezing out workers, so it's gonna go back and forth, but I think overall, we did come out ahead. So, yeah, a couple of workers were killed here on both sides. I think we have indeed successfully killed a whole bunch of units there, but all things considered, you can see it, it's still reasonably even. I actually lost a little bit more there, probably because of the Zergling shenanigans where, you know, I also end up losing a couple of drones there. I think I may have lost the queen at this point as well. Anyway, we have secured an economy advantage at this point, and it's 52 versus 41 Harvesters. Now, because of that income difference, I'm going to be capable of affording another base here. And that's a big deal. Not only am I going to be able to get more income from there and like transition towards mutas and whatnot, we're just basically trying to buy ourselves some time for that. I'm just simply going to be able to create a bigger and bigger force. So really, while, you know, we had all of these cool tech switches, right? Zerglings into Banelings, into, you know, micro with the queens, into run-bys, into roaches, into eventually Mutalisks. Once again, the real MVPs of this match are these little crap-like dudes that are just simply gathering the resources, because we just simply got a lot more income than my opponent. And eventually, I mean, I didn't assume he would go for this Zergling run-by. I should have made that an assumption as well, because at this point I think that I was droning up for a little while. If you back up for just a second, right when I see him move across, yeah, I was making a bunch of drones. I was making mutas and I was making drones. A little bit greedy right there. If I would have reinforced here with roaches, which I think would have been a better option, these Zerglings right here would not be able to deal nearly the amount of damage that they ended up doing. Now, I did run a lot of the drones away, so it wasn't absolutely awful, but it could have been a little bit cleaner. Could have been a little bit cleaner. All things considered, though, definitely a fun little match for those of you curious, because always see the comments. Apparently, I averaged about 349 actions per minute in this game. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this match. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, of course, you know what to do. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. Other than that, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you in the next one.